I would say that growth in the U.S. economy is extremely sluggish. Both in the fourth quarter of last year and the first quarter of this year, we've seen growth at 0.6% in each of those quarters at an annualized rate. That is well below what the U.S. is capable of doing, which is closer to 2.5%. I would characterize this relatively sluggish growth. That we're certainly skirting a recession if we're not in a recession, but if we are in a recession, it's going to be a relatively mild recession, since growth is basically flat at this point. But at the same time, when we look at within the United States, the sectors that continue to do relatively well are the manufacturing sector for those companies that are outside of the business related to the consumer. The weakness in the U.S. is very much consumer-driven at this point, with residential investment being a substantial drag. So the housing sector is pulling a full percentage point off of growth for GDP. And that's not going to be good news for the consumer with regard to the automotive sector. Outside of the consumer, though, the business continues to be actually relatively well. High commodity prices, which is a challenge on the consumer, is benefiting many producers. So those producers that are producing these large, heavy machinery equipment, so things like Caterpillar and John Deere, those sectors are doing relatively well. The large infrastructure equipment makers are also doing well. And then, of course, anything related to energy. So pipeline production and the steel that goes into all of this equipment is doing extremely well. So we see this bifurcation happening in manufacturing, where the consumer sector very weak, the non-consumer sector, as well as those sectors that are supported by international trade, because our exports are doing very well. So those industries, you guys talking about, the weakness of the economy, and they're like, what weakness? Our order books are filled through the next year, and for many products going out for several years.